Hello everyone. I'm starting my vlog in a different way today because I've got a new camera. No joke. My friend Ellie let me borrow her camera, so we're gonna start the vlog this way. Hello. Oh, that's quite a wide angle. Yes, I'm aware that I'm dressed like it's autumn because I'm ready for it to be autumn. But no, we're going into August, so this is my July wrap-up. Very excited to do this. It's been such a good month of reading. Let's begin, I guess. Right, getting the Goodreads up. So, there are a couple of books that I started at the end of June, which I think I will mention. Oh, let me close the windows. So yeah, a couple of books I started at the end of June. They're kind of going into my July wrap up. Just because I don't believe in not reading a book and waiting until the first of the month to start reading, because reading does not adhere to a timeline. Anyway, so the first book I read was actually an audiobook called Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. This is a massive classic. I've never read it before. I kind of had no idea what it was about, and it kind of didn't blow my mind, but it was very dystopian, gave me some 1984 vibes. It's about a fireman called Guy, and he suddenly starts to question what he's doing. So a fireman, instead of putting out fires in this dystopian world, they set fire to things. The narration was beautiful. I really enjoyed it. It was alright. I was expecting it to be better, but gave it a 3.5. I definitely recommend it. It's very short, so it's like a bite size, and there's a lot packed in there. I kind of wish I would have studied it. There's a lot about book burning, about free will, about technology, very ahead of its time, kind of like 1984, so definitely recommend. Second book that I read. Here we go, start getting into the paper copies. We read this beautiful cover of Pride and Prejudice. Full disclosure, I don't like reading the cloth bounds. I'm sorry, I love them, they're beautiful, and I think everybody should own some. I actually recently bought some more, but when I read them, I don't know if I've got sweaty hands or what, but it definitely comes off onto my hands, so I end up ruining the cover. So I read a Wordsworth classic that my friend gave me. But anyway, yes. So Pride and Prejudice, I'd never read this before. Pause for shock silence. It's my third Austen, and most recent that I've read. And I really liked it. I thought it was really clever. It really reminded me of Bridget Jones, which I know is kind of based on it, because obviously Mark Darcy. But Lizzie Bennet is one of my favourite heroines. I think she is for everybody. I don't know what I can say about this book that hasn't already been said. I think it's not as good as the hype makes it out to be, I'm sorry. I thought Northanger Abbey and Emma were a bit better. I don't know, maybe not Emma, but Northanger Abbey was personally my bigger favourite. But I think everybody should read this book. It's a beautiful little love story. I think it was funny, witty. Austen's just witty anyway. It was quite quick to read. But yeah, thought it had some good villains in there as well. What I didn't like was like the stereotypes of all her sisters. One of them was like really bookish. Her dad was a bit of a dick, whereas like the dad in Emma, Mr. Woodhouse, he's funny as fuck. Sorry, I'm gonna swear, it's my channel. Yeah, he's just really funny, whereas like Mr. Bennet was just a bit of a dick. I thought his marriage to her mum was a bit weird, but like I get it's all part of it. But yeah. Anyway, Pride and Prejudice, I gave it a 4.5. I think, yes, what I put on Goodreads is, I know Darcy is meant to be the epitome of romance, but couldn't help loving Mr. Knightley from Emma more, which, you know, what I don't like, Austen does this thing where the marriage, like the proposals, she doesn't go into them, she'll kind of summarise what just happened, and I'm like, but I want to read like the pretty words. I'll come to another book later that I refer to, but that was how you do a proposal. Sorry Jane. Anyway, so that was my first book book that I read in July. Second book I read, yes, I gave into the hype, The Vanishing Half. Look at this beautiful copy. Fucking, just look at it. Glossy. So Vanishing Half, I'm pretty sure everybody's heard about this book. Came out fairly recently. I got a signed copy, I think. Yep. Look at that. Don't know how this focusing works. But yeah, lovely. So The Vanishing Half is about two twins called Desiree and Stella. And they live in a town, so they are black, but they're light-skinned, and they live in a town where everybody's a light-skinned black person. And they run away when they're 16. It's set in different eras, so you got part 1, which is 1954, part 2, 1968, part 3 and 4 are like 70s and 80s, and it's like their lives and the lives of their children. And it's basically they run away when they're 16 and then Stella just disappears. And it's throughout the book you've got their two interweaving like lives, and will they come to a crescendo? I won't say, but this was absolutely stunningly written. I couldn't get over how obsessed I was with it, and I'm usually I get big into page numbers. I'm like, oh, I want to read 100 pages today, and I was reading it and I was like, I can't believe I've just read like 100 pages without even noticing. It was just absolutely beautiful. I kind of wish I could unread it and reread it again, and I'm definitely going to buy The Mothers by Britt Bennett, which is her first book, I believe. Yeah, it's there. So yeah, beautiful. Definitely a 5 out of 5. I'd give it a 6 out of 5. It's just amazing. So I've read some good books this month. Next is the audiobook of My Sister the Serial Killer by Yinkan Brathwaite. So good. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what this book was about. I kind of knew that it was about a sister who's a serial killer. But it's just short, sweet. The narration on Audible by the woman was just so good, because it's a book set in Lagos in Nigeria, and the woman narrating it was Nigerian. So I think it was not helpful, but it was nice to hear all the correct pronunciation of things. I just felt like I was in that world, and I felt like I was part of Corriday. So Corriday is a nurse, and her sister keeps killing her boyfriends, and she keeps helping her like cover up the bodies. So funny premise, kind of. And then Corriday's sister, Iola, she starts falling for this doctor guy that Corriday likes, so she's like, shit, I don't want her to kill him too. And then that's kind of where the story goes. It's really good. It explores a lot of like sister relationships, family, just different like attitudes to marriage and stuff in Nigeria. It was just brilliant. So I gave it a 4.5. I think it could have been longer, it could have been expanded on a bit more, but I don't really have anything bad to say about this book. Then I read The Song of Achilles. I felt like I've read really popular books this month. I just feel like I need to catch up. You know, I'm new to BookTube, new to Bookstagram, new to reading more than 2 books a month. So yeah, so this stunning copy of Song of Achilles. Bloomsbury have done these like Bloomsbury Modern Classics. So there's quite a few like different books that they've kind of rebranded. This is gonna, yeah. So I kind of want to collect them all. But yeah, so this is Song of Achilles. It's a retelling of the Iliad. Disclosure, I read Circe next. This led me to buy the Iliad and the Odyssey, so I will be reading those at some point. But it's about Patroclus and Achilles, as you all know, demigod, whatever, really fast, basically brilliant at everything. And it's a retelling of the Trojan War. So basically, I didn't really know anything. I don't know anything about it. I did it in school when I was like 11. But it just touches on Patroclus and Achilles' relationship first and foremost. I would say it is a love story first and foremost. Their companionship. Right. I really liked this. It was good, but it was really slow to get into. I really had to like commit to it. And the last 100 pages I devoured. Like, it was beautiful. It was really well written. Really like, you could really feel the love between the characters. but it bordered on melodrama a bit. It was a bit like, oh, I would die for him, like a lot of references to suicide if one of them died, and I was like, God, like, I'm not really into that. A lot of people can be, it's just not my thing. Like, think Call Me By Your Name, the melodrama is just out of this world, not my thing. But I learnt so much about the Odyssey and the Iliad, and I loved it enough that straight after I read Circe by Madeline Miller, which is her most recent book, got nominated for the Women's Prize for Fiction. Absolutely stunning cover, look at it. And this was fucking amazing, 5 out of 5, just no question. Circe, how have we slept on Circe? She's amazing. So this is about the Odyssey. Well, what I liked more about this book is that in Song of Achilles, I shouldn't be comparing them, but I am going to compare them because they're Greek retellings and they're by the same author. So this only focuses on maybe like 20 years of their life. So it starts when like Patroclus is 9 and then ends when they're like 29, 28. So it's only 20 years. Whereas Circe is a god. So this spans many, many, many generations, decades, centenaries, millions of years, whatever. And Circe is a sorceress, which didn't really know about them in Greek mythology. Don't really know much about Greek mythology anyway. But and it's about her life, and she's kind of an outcast. She's a bit weird. Then she does a bad thing, and she gets exiled, and she's on an island. So that's primarily where the book is set, on this island where she's exiled. And loads of things happen to her. So many myths are explained in this book. You talk about the Minotaur, you talk about Jason, you talk about everything. Everything is in this book. Odysseus. And I felt so much for Circe. I wanted to be her. I wanted to love her. I thought she was so badass. It was so feminist. It was just everything I didn't know I wanted. And this, actually reading Circe is where I was like, I need to read the Odyssey, and I really want to read more Greek retellings, but I might get confused because obviously they're different. So I know there's a few. There's one that was nominated for this year's Women's Prize for Fiction called The Silence of the Girls, I think. Maybe that was last year. But there's a couple of Trojan War retellings. But this was just so unique. I just fell in love with it. So 5 out of 5, absolutely gorgeous. And stay tuned for Iliad and Odyssey. I read the intro of the Iliad, and I think when I'm reading it, I'm just remembering too much about Song of Achilles for now. So I've shelved it, and we'll go back to it. But beautiful copies. Don't have them to hand, but I'll show you. I'll show you later. Then I read. So this was before Noelle Gallagher read it, who's my all-time favourite booktuber. Hi Noelle, you're never going to watch this. So I was very proud. But it is Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, Another Lessons from the Crematory by Caitlin Doughty. So this was the audiobook. Don't know why I just showed you my phone, there's nothing on there. This was the audiobook, and I really, really like listening to memoirs on audiobook. I just think the author's voice is just, it just gives like more of layers to the story, because I'm like, you're telling me your life. Whereas when it's fiction, I'm just like, you're just narrating a story. Whereas this, I'm like, you're telling me your story. And it was just so interesting. Like, I'm not gonna say I love death, but like, I'm really interested in death and witches and stuff like that. And she even touches on witchcraft in a bit, because she did her dissertation at uni on like witchcraft and demon babies. So really, really good. I learned a lot about the philosophy of death. Really made me question a lot of things that I do and practice, and what I will do in future with regards to my own death, my family's death. And I didn't realise there was like, and she like Caitlin founded the Order of the Good Death. I haven't actually said what it is. She works in a crematory, and it's basically stories of when she worked there, and she ended up doing like an embalming course at like a university. I think it's a mortuary school, not a university. And just a lot of the issues with embalming, a lot of the issues that America has with like pretty death and embalming, and the difference between that and like the UK as well. It was just really good. I think it's, yeah, as I said, gone straight to #1 all-time favourite non-fiction book. I wrote that as soon as I finished it, but I think it still upholds. So I definitely recommend the audiobook for that. I haven't actually got a physical copy, but that was really good. Then next month I read The Flat Share. Again, totally gave in to the hype with this. I thought romance isn't really my thing, but everybody's been saying this is like different and really good. It's alright. Not very memorable. Thought the characters were a bit annoying. Don't really know what else to say. Like, it's written with two different points of views of like Tiffy and Leon, and they basically, yeah, the premise is they share a flat, but Leon is a night nurse, so he's never in the flat at night. So basically they miss each other and they're sharing the rent because neither of them like can afford just a flat on their own. So it's a good setup on paper. Really, it's not really a good setup. I feel like this would never happen. But the problem I had with this is Leon's chapters were terribly written. There were no speech marks. It felt like a little boy was talking. Like, every time it was like a speech, it would be like, Tiffy, me, Tiffy. And I was like, oh, this is so bitty and not good. And he just wasn't using proper grammar. And I was like, if you're going to write a book, like, I know she was trying to differentiate between their voices, but meh. And then, like, there were too many coincidences. And I know it's a romance, and I know this is what it's meant to be, but, like, it's not worth the hype. However, what I will say is I read it while I was away in Snowdon. Fun times. And oh, I forgot my tea. Hang on, I need a sip. Oh, lovely. Yeah, so I read it while I was away, so it was very easy to pick up. Not challenging. So it was the book I wanted to read while I was away because I didn't need to think. I could just pick it out, read like 20 pages, put it down, read it in the car, whatever. Yeah, so not hard. If you want just a fun read, it's a good one. It's not very long. Yeah, and I felt, another thing, I felt like the author was trying to add in too many like deep issues into the book. So stuff about wrongful conviction, emotional abuse, like an abusive relationship. And I was like, I get what you're trying to do, but I was like, you're trying to put too much in. So I didn't like it. No, I did like it. I gave it a 3. It just deserved a 3. So there we go. That was that. And then the other book, I think I've cited 10 books in this, but I think I actually read 9, obviously, because Fahrenheit 451. So I read 9 books in July, which is a lot for me. Like, I don't think you realise. People are reading like 20 books, and like, I don't know how you're doing this, so how do you have the time? Anyway, so the next book I listened to was How Do We Know We're Doing It Right? And Other Essays on Modern Life by Pandora Sykes. I don't know if you guys know her. She's one of my favourite podcasters, like journalist. She does this thing called The High Low, this podcast called The High Low with Dolly Alderton, and it's just they just chat about like current affairs and stuff. Very British. So if you're American, you won't really know who she is. But it's been quite a long anticipated book, and I was really, really excited to listen to it and read it. And it was okay. I felt that there were some essays she like really hit home with. They were really good. Like, she talked about the wellness industry, which I never really thought about in that way. And she talks about our obsession with like binging, like TV and all these different like, she was like, there's a curriculum of culture that we all feel like we should be studying, like watching Game of Thrones and all this stuff. And I was like, really, this is really resonating with me. However, there were some things where I was like, everybody's talked about this before. I felt very academic. She kind of lacked her own voice in a lot of the stories, which really upset me because I really wanted her to like give her own opinion on a lot of things, but I felt like she was using other people's voices too much. It felt like an essay, and like I know she said it's modern essays, but I thought it like felt very academic, and I didn't think it was going to be like that. So I gave it a 3. I don't know if that's deserved, but it was just an alright read. Like, I'm not going to say any more about that. Then the last paperback copy that I've read, guys, I don't know if I'm going to be able to talk about this without crying. I'm already tearing up. That was really dramatic, but it is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Also, this is a beautiful copy. Just a little quote on the back. Yeah, so absolutely, this book blew me the fuck away. I'm just getting emotional just think about it. Whew. I didn't think I would really like it. It was very hefty, 650 pages long, so I was kind of not looking forward to it. And like, especially with a big book, if you don't know if you're going to enjoy it, it's a big commitment, but boy was I wrong. Do I even need to go into the premise of this? It's about a girl called Jane Eyre, and she's an orphan. She gets raised by her horrible aunt, and it goes straight in with the child abuse, like straight away. This is no spoilers, but like happens in the first few pages. And it's basically her life up to the age of, I think it's like 21. So ages of like 8 to 21. And it's set into like, it's got like 3 or 4 different parts. But this is not a romance. I don't know who said it was a romance. Maybe no one, maybe that was just my preconception. But this is a feminist novel. This is Jane Eyre. She's just sick. Like, she speaks her mind. She doesn't care for, like, she's super Christian, but she doesn't let it, like, it doesn't make her horrible to other people. And I know that's a really horrible thing to say. I just mean, like, people in the book, she heavily critiques Christianity, I feel, because the people who are, like, die-hard Christians are horrible. But she is a die-hard Christian, but she just says it like it is. She doesn't let love get in the way of her values. Like, I was sobbing at one point because I was like, fuck yeah, I would have just done that. But she didn't, based on her values. And there's so many times she just stands up for herself. All she wants is to be loved. She doesn't care about, like, money. Like, she just wants to be loved and educated, and she just wants to be independent and her own woman. And this book was beautifully written. I think it's become, like, my favourite ever classic. I haven't felt like this about a book in a really long time. So whoever hasn't read this in 2020, I know I'm 173 years late to the party, but boy am I glad to be here, because this is fucking amazing. So highlight 2020, I thought Dracula was my favourite that I've read this year, but Jane Eyre definitely takes the top spot. So yeah, whole month of reading is worth it just for this book. And the final book that I listened to was Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman. And this was just really fun, just really interesting read. Didn't really know much about Norse mythology. The only thing I kind of knew about mythology is from the Avengers, and I haven't really watched them that well, so I thought Thor and Loki were like brothers and stuff. No, a lot darker than I thought. A lot of murder and blood and a lot of spears, whatever. Few standouts for me were Freya's unusual wedding story, where Thor basically cross-dresses to get his hammer back. Really funny. And Gaiman's narration was lovely. It's like a little warm blanket before going to bed. So I really liked it. Yeah. I haven't really read that many audiobooks this month. It's only been, oh no, it's been 4. I was going to say it was only 3, but no, it's 4. Audible, I use Audible, but obviously you only get 1 a month. So I bought 3 more credits, and then I found an app where you can borrow audiobooks online if you've got a library card. So won't be doing that again, so I will be sticking to my library. And then a book that I started at the back end of July, I've got 100 pages left, is The Shining. I read this when I was 13. I read a lot of King when I was really young and didn't really understand what was going on. I read it when I was 11. A lot of things went over my head, / I don't remember. And we watched the film last night for the first time. I mean me and my pals, they're not here. Very aware that I'm not centred in the middle of the shot. It's like I'm waiting for someone. Apologies for the mess. And yeah, there was a lot that was fucked up and I didn't really realise. But in The Shining, this is a beautiful copy. These are the Halloween editions. Did I say editions? Editions. And yeah, I've got about 100 pages left. Stay tuned for my my review. That's July. Lovely. Gonna have a little sip. Can't believe I filmed this. I filmed this on my friend's new camera. So let me know about the quality. Hopefully it turns out better, because my quality has been appalling. And if the quality is better, maybe I'll make more videos, because I don't want to put up shit videos. Mini book haul. Okay, so these are my copies of the Iliad and the Odyssey. Absolutely stunning. These are the Penguin Classic versions. I got Paradise Lost by John Milton as well. I'm really committed to reading these. I think they're essential required reading. So stay tuned. I'm gonna wait a bit until my Greek mythology hype kind of dies down because I remember far too much from the books. So it's kind of clouding my judgment, I think. So yeah. And then I went to a charity bookshop in the town that I live in and I got some classic goodies. Love a good classic. So I got Tess of the D'Urbervilles by Thomas Hardy. It's really annotated, like as fuck. So really excited to read this. Wanted to read this since I was a kid, and I got the audiobook, so I might listen and read at the same time. So cool. Then I got Great Gatsby. Listened to this on audiobook, kind of wanted just a copy, so I got this kind of shitty copy. But I kind of want to make some annotations and stuff because I really liked it, and I just thought it was weird that I didn't have a copy of it, especially since this is so small and very cheap. These were all 50p, by the way. Nuts. Then I got Farewell to Arms by Ernest Hemingway. I've never read any Hemingway. Thought may as well. It was just on there. I think this is the one that's like about his wartime in Italy. Don't quote me on that, I've got no idea actually. Then I've got a beautiful copy of A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. I'm gonna try and read this in August. Don't hold me to it, but I really want to because it's about Paris and London. I feel like it's the book that was written for me. And I've tried to read it many times when I was a kid, but it was hard. So I'm gonna try and give it another go. I've got the audiobook, so I'm hoping that will kind of like spur me on. And I'm going to France next week, so maybe that will, or maybe that will push me to read it. Maybe I'll read more French. There's gonna be a French book in next month's wrap up. I swear to you. If there isn't, I was gonna say you could do something to me, but you can't do anything. That sounds really weird. Then I got these two beautiful 1933 copies of Wuthering Heights and Agnes Grey, and then Tales of Mystery by Edgar Allan Poe. I've never read any Edgar Allan Poe, and I'm reading The Shining right now, and he refers to the Mask of the Red Death quite a lot. And I know of them, and on paper I love him, but I've never read anything. And I've got several of his books, so again, next month I'm going to read The Fall of the House of Usher and The Mask of the Red Death, at least. But this is a beautiful copy, really old. I'm kind of scared to read it. But like the front page, little pic of Edgar. Lovely, 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 lovely man. Is he a lovely man? I don't know, I don't want to say that, but very troubled man. So yeah, and then I've already got I've read Wuthering Heights, but I really liked this whole concept, and then I want to read Agnes Grey as well, by Anne Bronte, because I've never read any Anne Bronte, so I'm going to read The Tenant of Wilfield Hall. I was going to say next month, but there's already quite a lot that I want to read. So maybe we'll wait until September for that one. But yeah, so I want to read Agnes Grey. It's like a short little novel, it's just kind of like at the end here, so I could read that. But I think that's it. I feel like I was breathing really loudly in that video. And I'm getting really hot. I feel like the sweatshirt wasn't a good idea. Also super tired, so hopefully this was entertaining in some way. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll link my Goodreads, and I started a Bookstagram this month, so give me a follow if that's something you're interested in. I feel like it's hard still finding my aesthetic, so you let me know. Cool. Bye guys!